from this particular prediction. Felix Kwakye Ofosu served as a deputy minister in the Mahama government. Currently, he's an aide to the former president, and he's also the NDC, parliamentary candidate for Abra Sebu Kwamankesi in the Central Region. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Well, thank you, Maru.
How do you receive news like this one, which is predicting your candidates in a comfortable lead? Credit to the one who first said it in 2016.
Well, I know that everybody knows that it has been clear.
Forgive me, Mr. Kwakye, but I don't know if you can do anything about your traffic indicator. It's really disruptive.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Please proceed.
Okay, yeah, I was making the point that it has been quite clear since the very beginning of this electoral cycle that the NDC is on its way to victory. And these polls only confirm what we know already, because multiple polls held by different actors have given the same outcome. And it suggests that while the Ghanaian people agree with our message of hope and our message which seeks to restore health to the economy, which has been completely destroyed and shattered by Bawumia and his colleagues in the economic management team. Secondly, it also shows that voters agree with the NDC's perspective on the management of the country as a whole and the management of the economy in particular. Because to the extent that every election is a referendum on the performance of the incumbent, it stands to reason that if Bawumia and his charges in the MPP have delivered the worst ever governance in our country's recent history, then voters were always going to punish them at the polls. So it has not come as a surprise at the end of the day, that these polls are showing that the NDC is on this way to victory. But for us, it provides encouragement only. It is by no means an end in itself, and it is not going to occasion any form of complacency whatsoever in us. We will approach the elections as if we were unaware of these polls and continue to carry our message of hope and sell the many policies, the over 70 or so different policy proposals, amongst them the 24-hour economy, the proposals on employment creation, like the 1 million coders program, the establishment of a National Women's Development Bank to advance credit to our women folk who engage in trading and other forms of economic activity, the far-reaching constitutional and governance reforms that President Mahama has promised, the scrapping of ex gratia, the cutting down of government expenditure through severe cuts in the numbers of government officials, from ministers to other categories of government officials. We will continue to push this message so that the Ghanaian people have a greater understanding of what we are going to do when we come to power. But overall, it provides encouragement that we are right path and there are things that we are doing right.
So you may feel that, yeah, it is good, but you will not be complacent. What about your support base? Do you get the sense that they would all go with you, that, well, it is not a done deal yet? Because I remember the last time you had an NDC event publicly, the chairman warned against complacency and the people who have already started sharing positions amongst themselves. You're sure that this is not going to affect your base?
Not at all. We are aware. And as a party that has significant experience in electioneering, and a party that has won 4 elections and lost 4 elections, we are acutely aware that the most important, the most telling poll is the one that takes place on election day. And for that reason, everything we do must be geared towards securing victory. So if every now and then reports emerge that show that a majority of voters are on our side or agree with our propositions and are ready to vote for us, I think that it's not going to get us to become complacent. Also, Umaru, you live in this country, you follow politics for a while, and you do know that the pulse of the nation shows clearly that there's a yearning for change. The sort of mismanagement and atrocious governance that Bawumia and his colleagues in government have delivered was always going to lead to a situation where no scenario exists for an MPP victory in this election. Because there's no way that the Ghanaian electorate was going to reward this sort of catastrophic and disastrous governance. And therefore, it was not ever going to be tenable that the MPP would emerge victorious, because there are governments that have lost elections with much better performance than what Bawumia and the Chinese have put up. And President Mahama has been clear that he wants to reset this country and put us on a more sustainable path towards economic recovery and economic growth that will trickle down to the generality of our people.
Okay, if you do not mind, I would want to hear from your colleagues on the other side what they make of these predictions, and then I'll come back to you for a wrap-up comments. Felix Kwakye Ofosu there. He's aide to former President Mahama. Let me go on the other line and speak to Dennis Miracles Aboagye. He's Director of Communication of the Dr. Bawumia campaign. He's joined us on the line. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. So, Fitch says that the economy, which is not looking good, is going to cost you the election. Felix Kwakye Ofosu believes that all the signs are there on the wall. The writing is there that you're bound to lose this election. They may not necessarily be complacent, but this is like an endorsement of what everybody knows. It should shake you as a campaign, shouldn't it?
Umaru, it's only in his fearless's dream that the NDC will win an election in this country. I mean, who are they bringing? This whole fixation on the fact that, MPP could not do it, so automatically it comes to John Mahama, is the weakest of political thinking that anybody can have. And all I would say is that we're on the ground, we're engaging the people, we're having serious conversation around all the issues. We, together with the people, are agreeing on what it is that our achievements have been and how to consolidate these achievements, and also acknowledging to them what the challenges have been, predominantly on the macroeconomic front, and have very frontal conversation with them as to how we believe the way forward will be in fixing these things. And so they should continue to live in their own paradise. It's just a matter of time. Hopefully, when the elections come and the MPP beat them, like we always do, they would not say that it was telling, it was obvious. No scenario supported the fact that NPP will win. And so they do not understand how MPP has won. But I can tell you that with all conversations we've had across the country, one of the things that the people of Ghana see is that the decision or the choice is between a former president that failed woefully, was given an opportunity but completely failed to deliver, and a vice president that is giving clear-cut indication as to what it is that his plans will be as president. And so they are quite clear in their minds that the choice is not a simplified choice of MPP couldn't do it, so let's vote for Mahama. It's a choice between John Mahama, a former president, His Excellency, and then Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, a vice president who is seeking to be president, who they can trust, who they believe can deliver. You know, sometimes when we talk about the economic indicators, the NDC makes it look like the Ghanaian people, we cannot really analyze issues, and that we are just looking at the fact that, MPP, they haven't done it. And so what did Mahama do? Mahama took an inflation from 8% and took it to 15%. That's his record. In fact, Umaru, go and look at each of the economic indicators that Mahama took over as president in 2012 and tell me one that improved after the time he was leaving office in 2016. And those things will all be brought into account. But for now, we are very focused. We continue to engage the good people of this country. We are dealing with all these issues, the bad, the good, and the ugly. And then Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is giving them that hope and belief that we need to protect what we have been able to achieve in all the other sectors, which will completely beat the NDC too. And then we need to together work to pursue the outstanding things, especially the macroeconomic areas, and fix it. So they should continue to think that automatically they are in power. No problem. We shall see. We'll get there.
But you haven't commented specifically on the poll. It will demoralize your base as it is going to moralize the NDC's base. Don't you agree? And it's going to affect you in the election.
Since when? How does it demoralize our base? I mean, as Amanke says, I speak to you. And the base is strongly working on the ground. Our polling station executives this evening, and that's a meeting I came to have, are engaging the voters in their various polling stations. Average of 500 voters in a polling station. They are holding the polling station album and they are engaging the voters. Nobody should sit in Accra, nobody should sit on Twitter and Facebook and say that anybody in the MPP is demoralized. Like Felix rightly said, and he's right, the election day on the 7th of December is when the real issues are determined. We have 4 clear months to election. It's a long way in any political calendar. let's be patient and not be carried away. Like I said, if you continue to live in this whole space of NDC is automatically in power, just don't come and tell us that no scenario supported us when you see the MPP winning on 7 December.
Yeah, but because polls are scientific, and for a scientific poll to come out that way...
When was the poll done? Which month was the poll done?
Does it matter? Does it make any difference?
It does. We are in an election period. It does. If you come to me at home and you come and lie to me that your political party brought national health insurance, and I believe you because you are speaking, and then you leave, and then somebody comes to give evidence, fact, and your political party never brought national health insurance. Between the time you came and the time I received the evidence that you didn't do what you said you did, my view on issues could change. So the time matters.
Let me just, please, if you could just indulge me and stay on. Let me just hear from Felix, and then I'll come back to you to wrap up. Felix Kwakye Ofosu, so your colleague on the other line, the polls are saying so, but like the NPP consistently says, they would defeat you on strategy in this election. And so the polls may say you're going to win, but they are going to undo everything that has been done. You have spread information that is not accurate, and they will fight that back. And again, the alternative is Kerry.
Omar, don't waste your time. You know, Genesis Blaster is reminiscent of what Comical Ali used to do in Iraq. When they were being routed in their hundreds, he claimed that they were talking a historic victory. In the end, we also saw what happened. So this Blaster about strategy, what strategy? And sometimes they speak as though they are some invincible force. Until very recently, they were the party that had tasted power the least. When the NDC won its 4th electoral victory, they had only won 2. So they have not won more elections than anybody in this country. So the facade that they present, as if they are some electoral machine, needs to be dismissed. Look, the reality is that today, every Ghanaian knows that this MPP and Bawumia have been a complete disaster. Unless you want to insult the intelligence of the electorate and let them believe that you can fail so abysmally and still get your mandate. I don't know what they are talking about. And sometimes when they speak about the economy and they have the nerve to claim that Mahama failed. Why? He was talking about inflation. He said Mahama took inflation from 8% to 15%. In any event, President Mahama actually was a man who took it to 8% as head of the economic management team. So it rose to 15%. And for that reason, Ghanaians were angry and voted against us. What do you think they are going to do to you? Who took it from 8% in 2018 to 54% last year? You think they are going to clap for you and applaud you for such a horrible disaster? At a time when we could pay our debt and services, such that the hundreds of thousands of bondholders who lent money to government received their coupons or interest timelessly, they voted against us. But now that you have bankrupted the country, defaulted on debt payments, you cannot pay 1.3 million bondholders, they will go and vote for you. What kind of logic is this? At a time when the CD sold for under 4 cities, let's even say 4 cities to $1, Ghanaians voted against us, but they will rush to go and vote for you when they are now having to pop out 16 cities to purchase $1. At a time when interest rates were in the mid-20s, they voted against us. Now that it is hovering around 40%, they will vote for you. So what kind of logic is he espousing? How can he even look at this economy and tell anybody that this economy is better than what they inherited? This is the worst economic situation we've had since the Fourth Republic began, even if we were charitable. So, like I said, there's no scenario under which the MPP wins this election. As I told you, we are not complacent by nature. We know that when they speak about strategy, they are talking about rigging. But let me tell you, no amount of rigging will let them win. Look, in 2008, they did similar rigging, but the margin of defeat was so wide that no amount of mathematics will save them. So let him not sit there and think that merely because he comes to claim the house strategy. Why? Does he think we are sitting down, sipping coffee or what? They are in a financial state. Does he think the house are sitting down? When you listen to them, they tell you that Obama has been campaigning. Why? Mahama has been sipping tea. Mahama has been campaigning for 3 years straight. Obama has been campaigning for less than 6 months. So let him not think that merely because you go to some places and you have photo opportunities and you come and splash on social media, you've done campaign that has never been done before. He says that their polling station agents are in the communities. In fact, we have more polling station executives than them. We have over 320,000 polling station executives who, as I speak to you, are all over Ghana campaigning. So there's nothing they are doing in this election that we are not doing. On top of that, we have canvassed vastly superior alternatives. Our candidate has credibility, but he has outperformed anything that this government presents. sector by sector, starting with the economy. Such that today their candidate says that he is an IT person. The same person who was in opposition claiming that he knew how to manage an exchange rate, and that if the fundamentals of the economy were weak, the exchange rate would expose you. He said that we should applaud him for taking the cedi from 4 to 16 against the dollar. The same person who told us that taxation kills businesses and it leads to suffering has come into power and imposed close to 40 different taxes, including some on fuel. And he says that he's done such a sterling job that he should be clapped for. Which sector in Ghana has improved over and beyond what they came to meet? Today, look at the debts that they have left construction sector. Look at the debts in the energy sector. And look around you. Does it look to you like this country is a country that has made any progress since the NDC left power? So when I say that no scenario ever supports any claim that the MPP will win, it is grounded. The people of this country, they have changed governments over and over and over. Nobody is going to tell them that things are right when they know that things are wrong. Look at the level of corruption that we are witnessing. Look at the level of nepotism that we are witnessing. Look at the level of state capture that we are witnessing. So what is it that makes you think that you can appeal to the electorate? Why would an electorate that has punished governments that have done far better than you forgive you for what you have done to them? The 1.3 million bondholders who now cannot lay hands on their deserved interest payments, who are now subjected to penury and suffering because they are not receiving the monies that they used to fend for themselves. Why would they go and vote for you and neglect the one who used to pay them timeously? So please, he can claim that they have strategies. Why? They can invent strategies. They can import strategies from mass. They can cook it, they can grill it, they can fry it, they can dry it. The fact is that their time is up. They have been abysmal, woeful, the very worst we have seen in our country. And they are being led by a man who has no credibility. The man who runs away from his own record. When they thought that things were good between 2017 and 2018, they were crediting him for economic management. The moment things went down south, he stopped talking about the economy. Now he cannot discuss the exchange rate. He cannot discuss interest rates. He cannot discuss debt. When he was saying that debt of 120 billion was unheard of, and that the NDC should be voted against, what was he thinking? Today, we owe over 700 billion, and he says that it should be applauded. So what do you think the people of Ghana for? Why do you think that they will make exceptions for you? Why? Because you are called MPP, or they've not seen presidential candidates before in their life. That at the moment Babia appears, they forget about everything that's good for him. You see, there's a saying in Akan, Aba, the Techino, the Bar, to which the cane that was used on Techi will be applied on Bar if the circumstances are the same. So let nobody in the LDP deceive themselves that because they have the electoral commission at their beck and call and they are in power, they can use money to influence the outcome of elections after they have performed back. The only way you win elections in any civilized country like ours is to perform to the expectation of the citizens. And the citizens of this country have shown over and over again that the moment you don't perform, you are on your way out, and no excuses will save you.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Felix Kwakye Ofosu, former Deputy Minister for Communication and aide to former President Mahama. Dennis is still on the other line. Dennis, he says that when you say you have strategy, you actually are planning to rig. It's not as if you have any superior strategy. Your candidate is not any superior. Your policies are not any superior. And the evidence of the sweetness of the pudding is in our pockets, literally.
Omaru, I mean, go and play back all of Felix's voice in the year 2020, 2016. He spoke the same way. That's the typical Felix. And they lost. And then they came back taking Casio calculators to the courts. They should continue sitting on radio, should continue sitting on Facebook and Twitter and putting out these things. As for the issue of Reagan, just rubbish it. It makes no sense. The fact of the matter is that the reason why Ghanaians will not use the 30 bar to hit bar is because there's no bar. You are not bar. As at the time we're coming into election 2016, your bar that was used on you was not with the former president. We know your scorecard. You failed abysmally. You speak about nepotism. Go and ask how UT Bank collapsed. Go and ask who bought UMB, United Merchant Bank. Go and ask how almost all our bauxite was handed over to the former president's brother. He speaks about corruption. Just yesterday, the former president and his family has been mentioned again in an international scandal. And this becomes the third international scandal that the former president is mentioned in. So he should continue to sit on TV, radio, and social media and just speak the same way he spoke in 2016. Like I said, election is not about Techi and Bar. There is no automatic transfer of power from one government to another abysmally poor government. It doesn't happen that way. Fortunately, the people of this country have an opportunity to measure correctly, clearly, with a proper skill, whether the former president deserves our vote or not. And I can tell you, the woman whose daughter was left at home between the year 2012 and 2016 because she has no money to take her to school, will vote against former President Mahama. The woman whose daughter was in the colleges and was using nursing and teaching allowances to go to school and she didn't get, will vote against former President Mahama. The medical doctor and the nurse who was asking for better conditions of service and the former president told them that he's not ready to negotiate with them and went on to tell them that he has seen so many strikes that strikes don't mean anything to him and he's almost like a dead goat. They will vote against him. The people of this country that the former president and fellows them put in a green book, that they've constructed so much roads, unprecedented roads in this country, only for them to realize that it was just in a green book, would vote against them. The people, the numerous Ghanaians, millions of Ghanaians, who dropped off their national health insurance because they had collapsed it and the health insurance scheme was completely broke, for which reason we lost close to about 1.5 million Ghanaians earlier on the scheme. And now we have 6 million Ghanaians more coming on the scheme, would vote against him. And so it is so easy an election that it is not funny. What is left is how we are now going to present the scorecard to the people of Ghana for them to take their decision. But Felix will be making one of the gravest mistakes in his political life if he should think that this election is just an issue of Techi and Bar and it's just an automatic issue of you haven't done it, so I am giving to this person. That would be the biggest mistake. And he should not continue to live in these fool's paradise, only to show up on the day of election, the next day, see the results, and claim that the elections have been rigged. Nobody can rig any elections in this country. He has said it before. The former president himself, his boss, has said it before. The way our electoral system is set up, is impossible for anybody to rig an election. We will beat the NDC simply because they have presented a former president that failed completely to improve on any of our indicators when he became president. And in as much as the people of Ghana recognizes that we've encountered challenges between the year 2020 and 2024, they ask themselves questions. You took us from 1 and all the way to -5. Somebody has taken us to 1, from 1 to 2, and hasn't been able to get us to 5. Why should we give it to you? And that is one of the things that is going to drive the decision-making of the Ghanaian voter. And Umaru, like I told you, we're on the ground, we are working. Ours is to continue to engage the people. It is just a matter of time.
Thank you so much.
Interview.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. As Dennis Miracles Aboagye. He's Director of Communications of the Baumia campaign. Earlier you heard Felix Kwakye Ofosu. He is aide to candidate Mahama in the 2024 elections.